Hello everyone, I'm Jackie Fox, and this is the Pogo Fight Club's guide to all the metagame changes that we know about so far for Generation 2. So a lot of things have changed, and I've been frankly impressed with how quickly the community was able to data mine the APK that was released for the game yesterday. That was for the update that preceded the launch of the second generation of Pokemon. So a couple of things have changed. Actually, a lot of things have changed. Basically, everything has changed. And some of the data that I had previous to this that I was planning to release actually became kind of irrelevant. So I'm having to start over a little bit, but I want to get you the best information possible. Some of the new changes include changes to the way that Pokemon are caught. For one, the physics of throwing a Pokeball have changed tremendously. Well, okay, maybe not tremendously, but it's enough that you'll miss a couple catches unless you realize that now you don't have to throw the Pokeball as far up because they're a lot more lofty. They're going to fly a lot higher naturally. So you want to be throwing a little bit more to the side instead of up into the corner as you usually would, or at least you usually would with a curveball. I don't really throw straight throws anymore, so I don't know how much that's been affected, but I would assume it had been affected in the same way. There's also some differences in the way that the capture screen works. There's new menus for selecting Pokeballs and the new berries. So the two new berries work like this. The Nanab berry slows down a Pokemon's movement on the capture screen, making it easier to hit with Pokeballs. The Pinat berry is actually the one that I am most excited about. It increases the amount of candies that you get per catch. I've tested it on 2 different levels of Pokemon because there have been changes to the amount of candies that Pokemon give you. My understanding is that base forms give 3 as usual. First evolutions give 5. Second second evolutions like Blastoise or Dragonite will give you 10. So you're now actually incentivized for catching those great Pokemon with the candies and not just a better Pokemon. Because honestly, I don't want to catch Raticates and Pidgeotos, but now I'm actually kind of being given a reward for that other than just an average Pokemon. But with the Pinat Berry, it gives you extra candies. For first tier Pokemon that would normally give you 3, it will give you instead 5. For second tier, instead of giving you 5, it now gives you 9. My assumption is that this pattern is going to add an additional 2, so if you were to catch a Dragonite with a Pinat Berry, it would give you 16 instead of 10, which is a pretty considerable difference, and definitely makes you kind of rethink what berries you want to use against the Dragonite, especially if you catch or have a chance at catching a low CP Dragonite, where you wouldn't need the Raspberry as much. There's another feature that's been added called Critical Capture. We don't know a tremendous amount about how this works. It was actually in the previous APK, but it was just recently implemented. I got a chance to see it last night, but unfortunately I did not get an opportunity to get that on camera. It seems like it's kind of rare, like getting a critical hit. It seems to have a random chance of happening, so what it is, at least as far as we know from the game data from the original series, is that critical capture gives you an increasing multiplier the more Pokemon species you've caught. So the higher your Pokédex rating is, the more beneficial each critical capture will become to the likelihood that you will catch a Pokemon. How to see a critical capture in as you're throwing a Pokeball and how to see it on the capture screen. What happens is first, the ball will only shake once and then catch, and there will also be kind of a comet. Instead of the like cute little shooting stars, there's actually like little comets of shooting stars that happen instead. So that animation is a little bit different. Another thing that's changed about capturing Pokemon is that now Pokemon have new ways that they can move. So for example, I have seen a Ghastly that flew in figure 8s, which was kind of awesome to watch, but annoying to try to catch. But it actually flew into my Pokeball, so that was cool. I have seen Leddyba that will go from side to side very quickly, very rapidly. I've seen a Xatu that actually hovered like a jet plane very high on my screen. but it was kind of close to me. It wasn't that hard to catch, but it did make it a little bit challenging. It also did occasionally hover lower, fly lower. So while these may make things a little bit more frustrating to catch, it adds a lot of flavor to the game, and honestly it makes each species feel more distinct and more alive and more real than they had previously with just being able to jump and do some sort of an attack animation. So another couple of things that have changed is we've had a lot of changes to moves. We've had a lot of changes to movesets. A lot of your Pokemon that you caught during Generation 1 now have legacy movesets. That means that you will no longer be able to get these movesets in the wild. I am going to go over a lot of the better moves since the change, a lot of the faster moves, all of those sorts of things in a later video. But I do want to cover the top 12 Pokemon and their new movesets and what we do know about that, just to complement the previous video that I put out on this. So I'm going to include links to all the places that I'm getting this information so that you can look at it for yourself. And I'm going to be selecting the most relevant information for you. So you don't have to look at those sites. I'm going to give you the best of, but you're going to get a lot more information if you do go to the sites that I list. So, in terms of non-legendary Pokemon between the first two generations, we're looking at the Pokemon with the highest CP caps. So that's going to be Tyranitar. Tyranitar has as possible quick moves Bite and Iron Tail, and for possible charge moves it gets Fire Blast, Crunch, which is a new Dark type attack, and Stone Edge, which is Rock type. So it has 2 stab moves and Fire Blast, which is going to help it tremendously against Pokemon like Heracross that would otherwise be a pretty decent counter to it. Dragonite has new moves. It has Dragon Tail as a quick move that is replacing Dragon Breath. So any Dragon Breath Dragonite that you have right now, they have just become a lot more rare. Also, 2 of the charge moves have changed. It still has Hyper Beam, a little bit of a signature move for it, but now it also has Hurricane, so it has a stab move for flying type, and it has Outrage, which is, from what I can tell, kind of like Dragon Pulse 2.0. It may actually be a better defensive moveset, Steel Wing Outrage, than Steel Wing Dragon Pulse, but considering that your Steel Wing Dragon Pulse Dragonites are still pretty good defensively and are now a Pokemon that can't be caught in the wild anymore, can't be evolved anymore, they're certainly very valuable as trading comes out in the near future. Snorlax only got 1 change. It has the same quick moves, but its charge move Body Slam was replaced by Heavy Slam, which is a Steel type move. So it has 1 less stab move for its charge attack. Previously, the best move all around that you could get for a Snorlax was Body Slam. So those are going to become incredibly valuable. They may actually be a lot stronger than anything that will be available since this update. But that really depends on how strong Heavy Slam is as an attack. And that's yet to be seen. But what is true about Heavy Slam is that as it's a Steel type attack, it won't, Snorlax won't get stabbed, same type attack bonus for using it. So it probably will be weaker than Body Slam. Rhydon did not get any changes to its moveset. Gyarados now has a second quick move. It used to have Dragon Breath, but apparently that was OP and got removed from the game, at least for its movesets. It now has Dragon Tail, which seems to be a really similar attack. I don't know a tremendous amount about it at the moment, but it seems like it's going to be comparable to Bite as a quick move. It's also going to be comparable to Dragon Breath, but that remains to be seen. Gyarados can still learn Hydro Pump, but it no longer learns Twister or Dragon Pulse, instead having Outrage and Crunch, again a new Dark type move, and a new Dragon type move respectively. Blissey's movesets quick moves, we have Pound and Zen Headbutt, exactly what you would kind of expect, and Psychic, Hyper Beam, and Dazzling Gleam. So I think that's the exact same move pool as Chansey. It's probably what you would have expected. Vaporeon's moves have not changed. However, Water Gun has changed a lot. It's now a lot slower and deals a lot more damage per hit. So Vaporeons are going to be even more capable defenders, but they're going to be a little bit worse at dodging. But then again, a lot of the moves that made Pokemon really good at dodging got nerfed. One exception being Poison Sting, which is now the fastest move in the game by far, according to the source that I read. That seems a little bit suspicious to me. Maybe future data will show that that report is actually wrong, but for right now, it looks like it's actually the fastest move in the game by a considerable margin. The new ground-type Pokemon Donphan has quick attacks of Tackle and Counter, neither of which it gets stabbed for, which is kind of unfortunate for it. Might hold it back a lot, actually. And it only has one stab move for its charge moves, and that is Earthquake. Its other moves are Heavy Slam and Play Rough. Go figure. Espeon is also a new Pokemon for the top tier. It has two quick moves, like a lot of the evolutions now do. Confusion and Zen Headbutt, so your standard Psychic type quick moves. Its charge moves are Psybeam, Psychic, and Future Sight, which is a powerful new Psychic type attack. Lapras had some major changes. It also got a CP debuff, so it's a lot weaker than it used to be, or at least considerably weaker than it used to be. I believe it was Ice Shard as a quick move has been removed and replaced by Water Gun. So Fire-type Pokemon are now no longer as viable Lapras counters as before, because Lapras now has access to Water-type moves and can exploit a Fire-type weakness to a Water-type move. It also has Hydro Pump replacing the somewhat useless Dragon Pulse. It will get stabbed for that. It will actually get stabbed for all of its moves in its move pool now, instead of all but one. Heracross looks like it's going to be a great Pokemon. It's Bug and Fighting. Its quick moves are Counter and Struggle Bug, both new moves for the game. And its charge moves are Mega Horn, Close Combat, which looks like a really powerful fighting type move, and Earthquake, which is just kind of in there to be that one-off move. Exeggutor got new quick moves, so all of your Exeggutor that you have prior to this generation being released are now Legacy Exeggutor. You can no longer learn Zen Headbutt or Confusion. Now it learns a new Psychic type quick move called Extra Sensory, and it's finally possible to have a Grass type quick move with Bullet Seed. So Bullet Seed Solar Beam is going to be one hell of a Vaporeon counter. And that's the entirety of the top 12 and their new movesets. The second thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about today is the changes to a lot of the moves that have recently happened. It seems like everything got mixed up or shuffled around a little bit, and we have completely new best attacks for DPS, damage per second, energy per second, and the speed of a lot of quick moves got changed pretty considerably. So we have a lot of new fastest moves, or a lot of fastest moves that have had their cooldown speed changed quite considerably. So first we're going to look at the best attack, the top tier for DPS. I'm going to include a couple extra links to the second and third tiers for these, but for right now I'm just going to cover the top tier. So number one for highest DPS is now the move Brave Bird, which is a 1-bar charge attack for flying. I have a Pidgeot with it. Unfortunately it has Steel Wings, its quick move, which is kind of disappointing. Stone Edge is still one of the strongest moves in the game. This has a DPS of about 43.48 damage per second, which is pretty high. Brave Bird was 45. Close Combat and Fighting is a very powerful quick move. Very powerful charge move that's been added to the game. It has equal DPS to Stone Edge. Blizzard, as you already know, is a little bit on the slower side compared to these, but deals a little bit more damage. 41.94 is the DPS for Blizzard. Mega Horn is now one of the strongest moves in the game with a DPS that's just over 40. Hurricane means that Hurricane is the next strongest move for DPS, meaning that flying types, especially Pidgeot, are going to be very powerful compared to what they were based on the power of their charge moves. Focus Blast from fighting type is a little bit slower than close combat, but deals more damage and comes in at 40 even DPS. Overheat, a new fire type move, has 160 damage per hit and has also a DPS of 40. It's even slower than Focus Blast though. Hydro Pump got an increase in power. It's now at 39.39 damage per second. That's pretty freaking powerful. And there's a new most powerful electric type move. I call it Thunder 2.0, but this is Zap Cannon. The base power for this is 140 and the DPS is around 37.84. So those are the moves that you're going to want to use if you're trying to deal the most damage quickly. But if you want to charge up those moves, you're going to be worried about energy per second, or the energy gains that you get from using an attack. So the following quick moves are going to be very good for building up energy for your charge attacks. I have kind of a god tier of things that get you more than 10 energy per second. There's only 4 moves in this category, and 2 of them are ghost type. So ghost types, especially like Gengar, might become especially powerful. Even though they're glass cannons, they might be able to deal a lot of damage even quicker, and especially very fast, considering that Gengar has a very high attack stat. So the number 1 move with 15 energy per second is Powder Snow. It doesn't deal a lot of damage though. It has actually the most miserable DPS on this list, but if it's combined with a move like Blizzard, it could actually deal quite a bit of damage overall in the long run because of how quickly it will build your Blizzard. The next 2 are ghost type moves. Hex both has higher DPS and higher energy per second than Astonish. But Hex and Astonish are going to be very powerful quick moves for a ghost type Pokemon that has a good charge attack. And finally, Hidden Power builds 10 energy per second. It is the 4th in this list, and as a normal type move. It also has the 2nd lowest DPS out of the 4. So those are definitely moves to be on the lookout for. I'm going to do a more in-depth look at building energy per second and the fastest attacks in the game when I take a deeper look at prestiging and dodging. But since I mentioned it, it's also good to look at the fastest moves in the game. So there are a total of 5 moves that have a cooldown time that is less than 1 second. There used to be a lot of moves that were in between like 0.48 and 0.6 seconds. There was probably about 10 of those, and they all got nerfed, at least in terms of their cooldown speed. The DPS is about the same as it used to be. They just increased the power per attack and and also increased the cooldown time. So the DPS works out to be the same, but since the cooldown time is a lot slower than it used to be, or a lot longer, they're not going to dodge as well in battle as they used to. On the flip side of that, these moves that had this change happen to them are going to be a lot better defensively. That's one of the reasons I was saying that Vaporeon is going to be a much stronger defender now. It was already pretty strong to begin with, but now it's going to be able to hit you even harder each time it uses Water Gun. So once again, the aberration here, or kind of in a tier unto itself, is Poison Sting. Poison Sting has a cooldown time of 0.58 seconds. The next move on here is Fire Fang, and just to show you the difference, this is at 0.84 seconds for a cooldown time. There's a pretty big difference between these two. Fury Cutter is still one of the fastest moves in the game at 0.9 seconds for cooldown speed. Counter, the new fighting type move, is also 0.9 seconds, and Bug Bite is 0.95. So Parasect is still going to be a real beast. Some of these Pokemon that got Counter as their new fighting type quick move are also going to be very formidable. So that's kind of the god tier of moves that you want if you want to be a really effective dodger. I also want to talk about which charge moves can be executed the fastest. These are moves that are somewhere around the speed of what Body Slam used to be. So they're very fast, they're very easy on offense to sneak in between any two attacks of the opposing Pokemon. So you can potentially have a perfect dodge game even using charge attacks if you time yourself right. The best move for this, actually tied for fastest, are Cross Chop and Cross Poison of Fire and Fighting respectively. These both come in at 1.5 seconds. Tied for third, we have a three-way tie between Bone Club, Dragon Claw, and Brick Break. Bone Club is ground, Dragon Claw is dragon, and Brick Break is fighting. These three moves all have a cooldown time of 1.6 seconds. The next is going to be Stomp, the normal type charge move. It now has a cooldown time of 1.7 seconds. The next is Horn Attack, also normal type, 1.85 seconds. And the final move is one that I don't know if it's been implemented yet. I know it's in the game data. I'm not sure that any Pokemon have it yet, but Rest, which theoretically should restore health. And this is definitely a new battle mechanic. I was really surprised that Snorlax doesn't have it because that was his signature move. I mean, it's a Pokemon that's supposed to spend a lot of time sleeping and restoring its health. But if you think about it, giving a Snorlax Rest in this game is really OP because you have the time limit. Whereas you could fight a Snorlax for an hour in the other game as long as you came out on top in the end. There is a time limit, so you have to be able to take it out within 99 seconds, and that could make it almost impossible. Rest, by the way, has a cooldown time of 1.9 seconds, and those are the best charge moves to use for dodging. Another thing that we need to talk about are Pokemon from the first generation that have gotten new evolutions in the second generation. Now with a couple of these, it's just a matter of getting more candies. Like in Crobat's case, you had to get 100 candies to evolve it. But there are other Pokemon that require special items that can only be found through farming Pokestops. These items are especially rare. Like for Slowpoke here, it can evolve into Slowking with a King's Rock. Other ways to evolve Pokemon include, for the evolutions, we have the naming trick. Now, these nicknames are only going to work once, just like they did for the previous generation, but we have Sakura for Espeon and Tamao, I suppose that's how you pronounce that, for Umbreon. So if you're looking to get those right off the bat, be sure to set this as your nickname before you evolve it, and you are guaranteed to get at least one of these species. So thank you guys for tuning in to today's episode of Pokemon Go Fight Club. I'm happy to bring you the newest and most cutting edge and in-depth information every time an update comes out. Anything that can help you do better in battle and help you battle with the best of them. So like and subscribe for more content like this and more in-depth looks on the mechanics of Pokemon Go. Until next time, see you trainers.